Welcome back to Investing Insights with Barry Burnett. I'm your host, Barry Burnett, here on Talk Radio 790 KABC, and we've got in studio John Cambianica, architect for several weeks. He's done lots and lots of projects. He's also assisted me and my clients. And John, we were talking about some examples of people who really get it. So where do you go from there?
Well, we have a broad spectrum of clients that come to us, and some of them come to us even though they're extremely savvy in the construction and development market, and they know a lot of the answers, they know a lot of the zoning codes, yet they're coming to us to see if we have a better answer. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, it just happens to fall under, well, we know that particular city very well, and we're into the nuances of their zoning codes. For example, a motion picture company came to us and said, we want to build a building in the media district of Burbank, and we're looking for somewhere around 13 to 15,000 square feet. Uh-huh. They had a site kind of tentatively picked out. We did some zoning research on it, and we found out that that site would support what they wanted at about 15,000 square feet. But we also found out that the site qualified for a density bonus increase of 10,000 square feet.
Bingo.
So
that's a value add.
It turned out to be, over time, a great value add, because their initial reaction was, well, you know what? We're going to lease that 10,000 square feet. And they ended up taking the full 25,000. And they're currently busting at the seams. So
they reimagined and then they grew into it.
They did.
Well, so that plays into the real estate law of physics. Your possessions will expand to exceed the space provided.
They were a growing business, and very successful, very well known. We also approach things in somewhat a manner of efficiency as well. We had one organization that had an existing building. They occupied all 3 floors of the building. Uh-huh. And so we were doing renovation work on the building and found, after doing some basic programming and space planning for them, that they could easily and very efficiently consolidate all of their business on the upper 2 floors. They ended up leasing out the ground floor of the building to a credit union, and that rent revenue from the credit union paid for all the improvements to the building. They did some very extensive improvements in new elevators, new windows, new HVAC. So it actually was a financial good thing that they were able to kind of efficiently reorganize themselves within the building.
Okay, well, John, you've got some additional red flags that have happened over the years. What kind of red flag stories have hit you?
We've had all kinds. I mean, we've had some people that have come to us and they already have analyzed the zoning extensively, and they're just looking for different answers to what they've already come up with. And sometimes it comes into saving them from making the wrong mistake or the wrong decision. Example, a sports company that specializes in trampoline exercise came to us, and they were about to sign a lease on a large industrial building in Los Angeles. And we started going through the zoning code research process with them.
Great.
And everything looked fine, but when you get into some of I want to say, not so easy to find zoning ordinances with the city of Los Angeles, we found that LA is very concerned about their manufacturing base leaving the city, and had an ordinance that was relatively new that prevented this industrial building to be converted into a sports facility.
Any other use than manufacturing?
Yes.
So it was a spanking. And were you able to find it in advance? Could you change the zoning, or did you end up having to abandon the project?
We found it before he signed the lease, so he was able to just move on to another location. So that's more of an example of before you've actually committed to a site, bringing the architect on board and doing the due diligence work.
And so what else have you seen that are helpful, tips or red flags?
Sometimes we'll get into a project and we know that it doesn't conform with current zoning codes, and we work with the city and developer to either get some form of discretionary approval, whether it be a variance, conditional use permit. In one case, there was a site that an owner had for a long time, and he wanted to put a fast food restaurant on it, and the neighborhood just was extremely opposed to this project.
Screaming about it, huh?
Screaming about it. They showed up at every council meeting, and eventually that project died. We, through community outreach, we went to the public and found out what they actually wanted, and it was a cafe bakery. And the community was so appreciative of having a cafe bakery there that they worked with us to obtain a parking variance that will allow that project to become a mixed-use building and also add some office space to it as well and make it a little bit more financially viable.
Okay, so you're talking about community outreach in order to help achieve a highest and best use.
And to smooth the process through as well. And we found that through working with the community, we have a much better chance of getting those discretionary approvals versus merely applying for them through the city.
Rather than banging one's head against the ceiling and finding out that you're just not going to pop through, you went and talked with the local neighborhood and got a consensus, and your project is underway.
It is currently in plan check right now.
Outstanding. Then that's hit the first mark of success.
Absolutely. We hope to have that project under construction by the end of the year.
Great. You're tuned in to Investing Insights with Barry Burnett. I'm your host, Barry Burnett, and our show is designed for entrepreneurial investors to make their portfolios stronger, safer, smarter, so that you can grow in your ownership, so that you can own your property. The property doesn't own you. The beauty of this show is that this content is designed specifically for you to improve the way you live, improve the way your property performs for you, improve your hopes for your future, be able to prepare for your heirs. Our expert contributors, like today's show, John Cambianica, an expert in design and architecture, is giving us tremendous ideas to make your portfolio much easier to operate so that you can deal with local governments, so that you can deal with design issues and parking conditions and make your space something that's exciting, something that will translate to your bottom line. And the beauty of that is that when we have expert contributors, trust attorneys, tax planners, CPAs, financial planners, you get an opportunity to gain each and every show on how you can really operate your investment portfolio in a way that is true to yourself, in the same way as Shakespeare said, "To thine own self be true." You don't want to operate somebody else's real estate portfolio, and you don't want something shoved down your throat. So you want to know how to refocus, re-energize, and that's what this show is all about. This is stuff that's designed to make you stronger, safer, smarter. That's why we're delighted that you tune in every Saturday, 8 to 9 p.m. on Talk Radio 790 KABC. This is Investing Insights with Barry Burnett. As your host, Barry Burnett, I thank you for listening. We'll be right back.